Have you ever wondered how a boy born in a one-room wooden cabin with no money, no power, no school could rise to lead an entire nation? This isn't just history. It's a story of courage, failure, grief, and greatness. This is not just about Abraham Lincoln. This is about what any human can become. Welcome to Untold Lives USA. Let's begin. Born in a one-room log cabin, raised in poverty, no formal schooling, and yet he became one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln, the boy who walked miles for books, who battled through failure, and who united a broken nation with nothing but courage, compassion, and conviction. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in Hardin County, Kentucky. His family lived in a small one-room log cabin with no electricity, no books, and no luxury of schooling. At the age of 9, Abe lost his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln. She died of milk sickness, a tragic and common illness in the frontier. The boy was heartbroken, but his pain became a fuel. He clung to the few books he could find, the Bible, Aesop's Fables, Robinson Crusoe, and taught himself to read by candlelight. Abe had to grow up fast. His father remarried, and the family moved to Indiana, then Illinois. He worked long days as a rail splitter, a farmhand, a flatboat operator on the Mississippi River. He walked 20 miles just to borrow a single book. Education wasn't given to him. He carved it out himself. By his early 20s, he had a new dream: law. With no degree and no mentor, he studied law books on his own and passed the bar exam in 1836. From the dirt floor of a cabin to the courtroom, Abraham Lincoln had become a lawyer. Lincoln's personal life was no less dramatic. He fell deeply in love with Anne Rutledge, a bright, kind woman, but she died suddenly of typhoid fever. Lincoln was devastated. Some say he never truly recovered from the loss. Later, he married Mary Todd, a sharp, politically connected woman. Together they had 4 sons, but only one, Robert, would survive to adulthood. Lincoln entered politics in the 1830s, joining the Illinois state legislature. He was known for honesty, logic, and wit, earning him the nickname Honest Abe. But politics wasn't easy. He lost a U.S. Senate race in 1858, yet during that campaign, he debated Senator Stephen Douglas on slavery, and the nation took notice. Lincoln said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." Those words would define the future. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln's victory in 1860 sent shockwaves across the South. They feared he would end slavery, and within weeks, 7 southern states seceded from the Union. By the time he took office in March 1861, America was already tearing at the seams. Then came Fort Sumter. On April 12, 1861, Confederate forces fired on the U.S. garrison, the first shots of the Civil War. The war was brutal, bloody, and long. Over 600,000 Americans would die, more than in any other U.S. war. Lincoln faced overwhelming pressure. He led with humility and moral clarity. On January 1st, 1863, Lincoln took a bold step. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring that all slaves in Confederate territory were free. It was a turning point, not just in the war, but in human history. Though slavery wouldn't officially end until the 13th Amendment, this act gave the war a new moral purpose. Later that year, at the site of a bloody battle in Pennsylvania, Lincoln delivered just 272 words, but those words became immortal. 77 years ago. In the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln reminded Americans why they were fighting. Not just to save the Union, but to uphold the ideal that all men are created equal. In April 1865, the Civil War finally ended. The Union had triumphed. The nation was whole again. But Lincoln would not live to see the peace he fought for. Just 5 days after the Confederate surrender, he attended a play at Ford's Theater in Washington. That night, April 14, 1865, a Confederate sympathizer, John Wilkes Booth, slipped into the presidential box and shot him in the back of the head. The next morning, at 7:22 a.m., Abraham Lincoln died. The nation went silent. The death of Abraham Lincoln shook the world. From New York to California, from freed slaves to former foes. The country wept for the man who had united them. His body was carried by train from Washington, D.C. to Springfield, Illinois, passing through 180 cities as millions stood in silence to pay their respects. Black banners hung from every window. People wept openly in the streets. Even his enemies admitted, now he belongs to the ages. Today, Abraham Lincoln lives not just in statues and textbooks, but in every fight for justice, every voice that rises for freedom. He showed the world that power can serve the people, and that honesty, humility, and hope are not weaknesses, but strengths. He led not through fear, but with vision, and in doing so, he saved the soul of America. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln's story teaches us that the weight of a nation can rest on the shoulders of one humble man, and perhaps the next great leader isn't in a palace, but in a small town, reading by candlelight. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We bring you the untold lives that shape the world. This was Untold Lives USA.
If this story moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe. We bring you the lives of history's greatest minds, one powerful story at a time. Thank you for watching, and remember, greatness can come from the humblest beginnings.